Welcome to another episode of the Advice First podcast. This is your host, Robert Clark. Today I have a very famous strength and conditioning coach. He wouldn't say he's very famous, but 2018 National Sports Performance Association named him the Coach of the Year. We have Mr. Mike Yudin with Team Yudin Training. Welcome to the Advice First podcast. Mike, how are you?
Good. How's it going?
It's going awesome, my friend. Very glad to have you in the studio. I know you're going to drop some knowledge on, yes, strength and conditioning and health and nutrition and all of those great things. But what people might not know, and so I'll just skip to, is you get to work with some phenomenal athletes. And I would say you're half the reason that these athletes, make it to that next level. That's what you're known for at Team Yudin Training. I'm curious, though, just so we can set the stage, how exactly did you get into the role of being a strength and conditioning coach?
So my whole life, I was always involved in athletics. Me and my family, we all played. So I think it was right after I was done playing, I always liked to work out and wanted to do something. So I worked out a lot, and then I'd have people ask me to work out, and I wasn't really interested in doing that and training them. And eventually I got into training, and we are where we are now. I was very fortunate to eventually intern for Coach Robert Dos Remedios over at COC, who, he's the best strength coach in the world. So I was very fortunate to do that for about a year and a half. I was interning for him, and I'm lucky just to be a part of these kids' lives, just a small part, that
for sure.
We get to work hard and have a good time and impact each other in a great positive way. Yeah.
So did you say you didn't like training people early on?
Well, originally, no, I had never trained anybody. I just worked out and people would ask me to train them. And at that time, I was going through the end of college and I was like, I'm okay. Yep. I just worked out and then I got into it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that was another thing I was thinking about because you're around, training, lifting, strength, conditioning, is it hard for you to still train yourself day to day, find that motivation?
So it used to not be, but now I have two kids who are amazing, and when we had my son at the beginning, it took some time getting used to, and then I got back into it and that was great. And then we had my daughter 8 months ago, and that's been very difficult just because now my wife does a lot with Haley, my daughter, and then I take Hudson and get him all ready, and then I have to find the time, to not just be husband and father and also a trainer, now to take me time. And, we're just trying to find that sweet spot. I'm starting to get in my groove again, finally, after 8 months. So
there you go. It's not, and you have to have the energy for it, not just the time, right?
Yeah. Well, I know my wife loves working out and we're a very fit family, so, and it's great for my son to be around all these athletes and see them work. And he even goes in there and works out and sees them do stuff. So it's so cool. He's 3.5 and he's doing farmer's walks and suitcase carries and deadlifts, and it's really cool.
Dude, what sport is he going to play?
He can play whatever he wants. I want him to play them all. I want to see what he likes and he's good at, and I enjoy watching him play.
I like that. You were a baseball guy?
Yeah, I played baseball, yeah.
Dude, that's awesome. So when you're working with these young athletes, what's the age range that you find yourself training?
So the youngest I've had is 7 years old. And my oldest client right now is 65. They're no longer an athlete, but they put in work and they're living a healthy lifestyle, which is amazing,
Yeah.
But a lot of my athletes, I would say, I don't know. I train all different ages. So,
dude, yeah, that's incredible. All the way down to 7.
Yeah, it's just about learning different movement patterns and doing things the correct way.
Yeah.
You want them always to have a good base and know how to do things correctly. I'm not there to show them how much they could lift and whatnot. Of course, if they could do something correctly, they could lift weight. Yeah. But everything's about movement pattern and having the correct form. I don't care if you're 7 or if you're a top level athlete in high school, college, or pro, or you're that 65-year-old.
Yeah.
Form is the most important thing. So
interesting. So, did you train your brother Troy?
I did not.
No?
I did not. No. So I didn't really get into training until like right after he had started, and he had been working with somebody already. So yeah.
Got it. And so for those who haven't put it together, we got Mike Yudin as our guest, and we had Troy Yudin on the podcast early on. I think he was one of the first episodes, or first 5 episodes for sure. And you know, I think he still has the trophy for the biggest arms that we've had for a podcast guest. So
that's awesome.
I mean, you might throw him out of that.
I don't know
chair.
about that. I don't know. Troy works hard. Once he has kids, we'll see. But you know, right now,
exactly. That's what I told him. Said it's all going away soon, so you better enjoy it. Snap some pictures. Okay, so when you work with a young athlete, and like we were talking about off air, a lot of your athletes have gone on to, you know, high level collegiate and professional level sports. Are there things that you see that they have in common, like whether it's mentally, physically, motivationally? Like, is there a common theme between all of these individuals that reach these next levels?
I think that there's always something that will stick out, right? Whether it be their work ethic or the way they think about certain things, you know, how fast they catch on to different things. But at the same time, everybody's different. You don't know if someone's going to be a late bloomer. You don't know if someone just catches on early and then gets away from what they're doing. They have other interests, you know, later on. So, you know, the main thing is that we work hard and we enjoy it. We talk about certain things. We talk about, you know, work ethic. We talk about life. We talk about, you know, the mind. You know, I think it's so important, you know, up here, just like you train your body, you have to train your mind as well. Yep. You know, so we talk about just staying in a positive state or a neutral state to get to a positive state. And then, as long as they work hard and they're a good person, things will work out.
Dude, that's awesome. So do you actually have, are those just things that you're talking about while you're training them, or do you have other sessions that, where you kind of coach them more mentally?
We talk about while we train, you know, so a lot of times we're a private one-on-one or, you know, group with 2 up to 4, 6 people at a time, but we all talk, and it's great for them to learn what's going on. And, you know, I'm older now, so I've been through the ringer and I've seen what works and what doesn't. And, you know, I think we've all been through situations where, you know, we've come out, and hopefully you all come out better. And I know I have from learning about certain things and just becoming a better person. And I tell them every day, you know, every day I wake up, I try to be the best person I can. Right. So I'm talking about whether I'm a better husband, I'm a better father, I'm a better coach. That's my goal every morning I wake up. Yeah. You know, I think it's so important, and I have a chance to impact these athletes in a positive way. Yeah. Every day we have a chance to impact somebody, right? Yeah. Whether it's positive or negative, that's your choice. So I want to do it in a positive way, because then guess what? I impact them in a positive way, and they're going to impact somebody else in a positive way. And they impact 2 people, and you don't know what they're going to do. Right. So the main thing is spreading positivity. That way, you know, everything works out.
Dude, I love that. You hit it home right there. What would you say is the most common problem that you see when, you know, a new athlete comes to you and wants to get trained by you? Are there common issues? I mean, and from our last point, maybe it's just too much negativity in their lives or around them, or is it more like form-based? Like what are some of those problems that you see right off the bat?
Not a lot of problems. I just realized I say a lot, by the way, at the very beginning. A lot of movement patterns, so you just got to make sure that they do it correctly. Great attitudes. Everyone's got to have a great attitude. And I tell them right off the bat, if you have a bad attitude, this is not the place for you. Yeah. I don't surround myself with any negative people, whether it be in my life or my personal life or with my athletes. Yeah. It's just not the place for you. You know, we're here to work hard. We're here to have a good time, enjoy each other's company, and also respect your parents. I had a new kid actually yesterday, and his mom was telling me he was not acting very good in the car right on the way there because he had to go to his sister's practice after, for example, and he wanted to go home and play his video game after. And I told him he had to have a good attitude and treat his parents with respect, or else he can't come here.
Wow.
He can't work with me. And at the end of the day, I know we're in a financial place right now, work, but I said money is money.
Right.
Like, I'm busy, I work hard, and money will be there as long as I do my job. But if you don't treat your parents with respect, who take time to get you here, spend money to get you here, it's not the place for you.
Dude, that's so big. That's such a great point. So did you make that workout hell for him yesterday?
Yeah, he did good. It was his first time there, and he enjoyed it, and he was really cool, because I think when you're up front with people and let people know what is expected of them right away, yeah, you might lose them, but at the same time, maybe, that might have changed them. And I know it changed his attitude there, and I know his parents were thankful for it after when, they text me. It's, again, you have that choice right there to make sure you're not only impacting positively where you're at, but now they go home without you, they're better to their parents or their siblings, because they know they really enjoy to work out and they want to come back.
Yeah, that's huge. Can you tell when you're working with somebody who has what it takes to go professional?
Yeah, I mean, there's some people that stick out for sure, and some of those people work out and some of them don't. There's certain attributes that I'm like, wow, like that kid could be special. That boy or girl could be special, you know? Whether it's their being physical or their mental mind, right? Because I train some that are non-athletes, like I would say not non-athletes, but someone that's not trying to go into athletics later on after, that just have the best mind and the best look at life, and just like, this person's going to be special. They're going to do great. But there's a term that we use in our industry called early to ripe, early to rot. And that's a lot of athletes come up, and a lot of times they're, maybe they're the older people in their league, or they're the bigger right away. And then they don't want to work hard because they're already better than everybody else. So they don't feel like they have to work. And a lot of times, I'm sure you've seen it growing up, where those guys that are amazing in Little League and Pee Wee, and stuff like that, they don't end up being the best later on, because they get other interests or they don't work as hard. Whereas the people that had issues, like maybe they're smaller, maybe they just weren't as good, or they didn't grow into their body yet, they end up having that hunger and they work harder at everything. And so you never write anybody off, and you don't know how you're going to impact them anyways throughout life. So why not make that positive impact anyways and see how it goes? But there are certain people that are like, wow, that kid, we'll see what happens. And, it's cool when it works, and when it doesn't, it's okay too, as long as you're there and trying to help them out and being there for them,
How many times is it like romantic relationships that take kids off course? 65-year-old client. She must be a real badass.
They're awesome.
I might have to censor that one too. So what is someone like that training for?
They're just trying to be healthy, have a healthy lifestyle. So, they want to work out, they want to eat healthy, the more active you are, again, I'm going to go back to my mentor, Roberto Remedios, who does a podcast himself called the Performance Podcast, who is on hiatus right now, but was one of the top in the world with Will Fleming. He talked about, there was a study that I hope I'm not misquoting it right now, that a 70-year-old lifelong trainee is equivalent to a 20-year-old that does not train, and a 90-year-old trainee is equivalent to a 30-year-old. And I hope I didn't misquote that, but it's pretty amazing that, the more healthy you are, the healthier you eat, the more you exercise, the better quality of life you're going to have. Right. So and that's what, people want. As you go through different stages of life, you have different reasons for working out, whether it's sports, look good, be healthy, better quality of life. Like, everyone has to
chasing kids.
Yeah. That's why I had to get back to working out. My kids are moving around so much, so.
So what's a program look like for someone in their 60s or 70s? Like, are you trying to stay away from heavy weights or what's that? Yeah,
everything's, we do more metabolic resistance training stuff. So, we do like 1545s, 2040s, 3030s, so you still go heavy in the 1545 range, and more moderate in the 3030s and lighter in the, 6060s and whatnot, but they're always moving. They're never staying one area just doing curls, for example, but we're doing always explosive lifts. We're doing, knee and hip, dominant stuff, pushes and pulls, core, they're doing loaded carries all the time. So it changes a little bit, but not a lot.
Right. Yeah. That's so interesting. I mean, like even as a 30-year-old going to the gym, it's like, I know the handful of lifts that you do. You got bench, squat, deadlift, all that. But every time I see what you and your squad are doing, it's like, it's not too much of those traditional things. It's like a lot of band work and a lot of like balance and mobility. Like, how'd you come up with that? Was that through your training?
Yeah, again, I was super fortunate to be with Coach Robert Dos Remedios at the very beginning.
Yeah.
And he's really impacted my life in such a great way. Because again, people don't understand the impact they have on people's lives, again, whether it be positive or negative. So he impacted my life, right? And now he's become one of my best friends. And look at all the lives I get to impact. Look at all that, right? That's crazy.
Yeah.
And he's been a part of that to help me do that. That's amazing. Yeah. And then maybe I can impact their lives to do the same thing, right? Yep. So I got to learn a lot through him. I remember, I think I have like 12 or 13 different certifications. And wow. I got very lucky to have such an amazing mentor that was like, go learn. Go read this, go watch this, go to this summit, go to this seminar. Yeah. Because he was always learning. He goes, if I can learn, you can learn. So I continue to learn all the time. That's, again, being better every day, being a better coach. How do I become a better coach? Well, I learn. I go back and watch videos that I've already seen even, right? And take notes on those. I go read this article, and I've been so lucky to be surrounded with such amazing coaches because of Coach Dos, I've met a lot of other coaches that have impacted me as well, and I've learned from the best. I don't always say, oh, well, Mike Yudin knows best, right? People will say Mike Yudin, no. It's that I learned Olympic lifting from Will Fleming, who's the best Olympic lifting coach in the world. He won the Masters, the world's Masters, right, for the over 35 division, I think it was. And Lee Taft's the godfather of strength, or speed and agility, right? I got to learn from him. And then so there's and then Dos with program design, and there's so many guys that I get to learn from, and guys I've met, and good friends that we talk to back and forth if we ever have questions. So we have a good, tight community, and you are who you surround yourself with. And I'll only surround myself with amazing people.
And that's why I'm happy you're here. So out of all those, trainings and programs and individuals who have accomplished amazing things that are now teaching a lot of those fundamentals, are there any like common misconceptions that most people have when they go to the gym and train on their own that they should be kind of switching and paying attention to more of these classifications that you've learned? Yeah,
I think for the most part, you do what makes you happy. But you had to have a program. You had to have a reason when you go there. I think a lot of people, myself included, before I understood anything, I would go to the gym and have no idea what I was doing until I got there. Right? No program, right? I wasn't going through different phases or what am I going to lift today, And once I started learning what I was doing, right, then I saw a big difference in my body. That was huge, and I'm not into, the whole bodybuilder way of lifting, and that's okay if you are. That's just not what I'm into. Again, I'm into doing push and pulls and a squat, lunge, or a step, or a hip dom and core and explosive lifts. I enjoy those, and that's how we train. And again, a lot of people, some people do, some people don't. Whatever your cup of tea is, that's okay.
I love that. Different flavor for different people. Off air, I had asked you if you've ever trained a golfer, which you said you did.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. In high school, he was a high school golfer.
That's super cool. What does a workout look like for a golfer trying to get better at golf?
Very much the same thing. So there's a company called TPI, which they train all the golfers. So his name's Greg Rose, who I'm a big fan of Coach Greg Rose. He runs TPI. I think he's like a co-founder of TPI, which is a certification. That's another certification I'll probably go out and get eventually, because I love Hudson and Haley to both be golfers as well, you know? But I remember him being like, at a seminar, he was talking about, oh, you want to be the strength coach of a baseball team or a football team. What, you have 100 people to worry about? 200? We'll have 2,000, and all this stuff. And he was a great speaker and a great coach. And I would love to work with more golfers. It's not much different about the way we train baseball players and softball players who are rotational athletes. And I know, one of my clients who's awesome, who plays for a team in Mexico, his name is Josh Corrales. His best friend's the kid Max Homa from out here. Yeah. And he's a killer. He does it really good. Yeah. So, if Max Homa's, I guess, watching this, let Josh know and we'll work together. Dude. But, that's so cool to see, like, Josh is killing it, and Josh surrounds himself with Max, and, Max surrounds himself with Josh. Like, you see guys gravitate to other people that are doing things. Like, they always want to be around people that have a positive mind and are doing things, right? Yep,
absolutely. Reinforcing. It's all about surrounding yourself with the right people.
We're crossing our fingers right now that Josh gets to make the Olympic team for Mexico. For Team Mexico, we'll find out soon. But that's exciting. I know he could do it. He's an awesome player and an awesome person. Yeah. And they just started their season in Mexico. They're about to start, and he's throwing 94 to 96 in his first bullpen session. Wow. So normally he sits around that, and he topped at 99. So I'm crossing my fingers. He's going to make the Olympic team there. I know he could do it, and he's an awesome person.
Yeah, absolutely. Person. So for an athlete like that, are you still sending them programming, or just kind of there in the background to make sure that the strength and conditioning coach they're working with is kind of catering to them?
So it's all different with all of them that we talk to. So sometimes during season they'll work with their strength coach, which is great. I always hope they have a great strength coach when they're not with me, because you always want them to be in good hands. Yeah. But sometimes they'll ask me for programs, and we're going to start kicking in our online training, which we actually started filming stuff 2 years ago, and I really dropped the ball on that, to be honest. Like, I just want it perfect, but the thing is, I really should have put myself out there earlier, even if it wasn't perfect, just to get going and know if it would have worked or if it didn't. But we have a ton of exercise database videos for our exercise database, and then that way you could click on a link to see it, and it'll be explained in the video if you don't know how to do it. But me and Josh were actually just talking about that, and me and Keston were talking about that stuff as well. So we always work, because some of these guys don't live here anymore either during the off season. So we'll send them videos, or we'll talk on the phone, or we'll FaceTime, or Skype now, different workouts. So
interesting. Yeah, I was just going to ask you, like, what's the future of Team Yudin training?
Yeah, I think the big future is I love what I'm doing. I don't want to, it's great when people have big facilities, and then that's what they love to do. For me, I love being in the grind, and I love coaching, and I love seeing what's happening. I'd say the next step would be the online training stuff. It's just a way to impact more people, that whether they can't be here physically because they live in another state, or they, it's a little more affordable as well, because I'm not there with them. It's just a program that's being sent over based on what their needs are.
Yeah, absolutely. Last thing I've been thinking about is coaching on the actual strength and conditioning is important, but there's also that next layer. Well, you have nutrition, and then you also have recovery. Are you helping or guiding your clients on how to properly recover as well?
Yeah. So when it comes to recovery, my brother owns ice.
That helps.
He owns ice. So I talk to him about, cryotherapy and infrared saunas and Normatex. So, I tell them, my brother owns ice. You should definitely check that out. Yeah. It's not a way of me just being like, oh, hey, here's my brother. It's like, hey, this is what ice has, is what they're doing. I know Keston, who plays with the Milwaukee Brewers, and Josh, who's with Mexico, the team in Mexico right now. Yeah. The Tijuana Toreros, I don't know if I said that right, but they both bought Normatex. So when they're on the road, they have their Normatex on. Yeah. So that's how important it is. These guys at the top level are taking recovery is so important that they have these things ready to go.
Yep, absolutely. Dude, that's huge. Anything that we haven't covered yet that you want to make sure to get out there?
Not much. I just think that, I think people just need to be great to one another, and make sure, every day you have a chance to impact somebody, and the choice is yours again, whether it be positive or negative. But that one interaction could impact somebody else, and that can impact somebody else or the rest of their life. You don't know what you do, how it impacts people. So why not make it positive, right? And that's, again, I love watching or listening to John Gordon. I read a lot of John Gordon's books. I read Trevor Moawad's book, who's Russell Wilson's mental coach. And I wasn't a big reader either, by the way. The way I read is because I program it. I started thinking about it as a program, like working out. If you told me I had to read 300 pages in a month, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I really don't want to read that, But if you told me I had to read 10 pages a day for a month, but I could do that.
You're right.
It's the same thing. And that's what I tell my kids, right? And I call my athletes my kids. Okay. But I tell them it's the same thing. It's the same thing. So I'm able to get through books easier and read, and the way it's changed my life by reading these books is amazing. And my outlook is all about perception, right? Everything in life is about perception. So if we could impact just one person's life in a positive way, you don't know how many lives that person's gonna be able to touch. So that's my goal.
I love that. So here I invited you to be on the podcast, and I was like, we'll talk about health, fitness, strength, conditioning. And what I'm coming to learn is that the kids or the clients that you're able to work with might be benefiting most from just getting their mind right and making sure they have the right foundation mentally, that you're guiding them, that you're reminding them. And I think that is the most important thing.
I think it's both, right? You strengthen the body and you strengthen the mind. And again, it's all about impact. It's all about positive impact and how you could affect people. And I'm very fortunate to be able to impact people in a positive way. And
Dude, that's huge. Mike, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the podcast. How can our listeners find and connect with you?
You can find me at Team Yudin on Instagram. And I also have a Facebook page as well, Team Yudin or Team Yudin Training. And Twitter, which I don't really use too much. I'm not a big fan. I like Instagram more. It's easier for me.
But all the commentators, like all the NFL commentators, all these guys prefer Twitter.
Okay. So I go on Twitter to repost.
Okay.
So when you see my athletes in college, and pros, and even high school, but it's easier for me to look at, Tennessee softball, Arizona softball, and see Ali Shipman, Jesse Harper, and you see Keston Hira with the Brewers. I could repost that, right? Or I could get that off of there and bring it to Instagram, But I don't like writing stuff or whatnot. I don't like to read. You can get lost in social media too.
For sure. Talk about surrounding yourself with positivity, not negativity.
Absolutely. 100%.
I love it. Thank you so much, Mike.
I appreciate it, Robert. Thank you.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Next Financial Group, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Prosperitas Financial is not an affiliate of Next Financial Group, Inc. This material is not intended as an offer or solicitation for the purchase of sale of any security or other financial instrument. Past performance does not guarantee future performance. All the views expressed are those of Robert Clark and Prosperitas Financial and not of those of Next Financial Group, Inc. Next does not offer tax or legal advice. The S&P 500 is a market cap weighted index composed of common stocks of 500 leading companies in the leading industries of the U.S. economy. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is a price-weighted index of 30 actively traded blue chip stocks.